Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 257. I am Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Sinitsky. Hello.
Hi.
Jana, hi.
Hello. I
Welcome.
have some important
Well,
news
then
to
lay it on
share.
us before we get to anything else.
Ryan put it in the second podcast, but I think it needs to come out today. James May was involved in a car accident.
What did he do?
I'm not sure, but the comments on the Facebook post
Okay.
are...
There
I
we
was
go.
going to have this be in the second episode, but never
But
mind.
I think
It's
it
on the
needs,
screen now, so we have to
yeah.
cover it.
Um,
Or at least it will be shortly once the internet
yeah,
catches
so,
up. Oh my god.
Yeah, I have to read the comments because I think it needs to... People need to know that James May is hurt. I don't know how hurt he is.
He's in the hospital.
He's in the hospital.
Well, that means he's alive then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
Good news.
My favorite comment is, upon arrival at the scene, the medics bundled Hammond into the ambulance out of habit.
I said, watch James May get in the passenger seat and Hammond was driving.
I think you spelled Hammond wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Of the people on the Grand Tour / Top Gear that get hurt, 100% of them are Hammond.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then there's a lot of comments being like, oh, he must have not been hurt that bad. He couldn't be going that fast. Like,
And that Langsema, the
and
slow
then
one.
there is a gif of a station wagon driving through a garage door, and it said,
It's footage.
footage of the incident, and it's like a car inching through a
It's an
garage
old man
door.
driving through his own garage door.
So if you can go on the Grand Touring page and just
Facebook
read
page,
the
yeah.
Facebook page and go through the comments.
I did
mean,
not link the Facebook.
read the article, but the comments on Facebook are...
I did not
so
link the
good.
Facebook, so because you
Yeah.
sent me the article, not the Facebook
Oh.
post.
So
So-
James May rammed his station wagon through his own garage door.
Yep.
More
that-
to follow.
That's basically it. Okay.
We wish
Patreon.
him a speedy recovery. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. Head on
Anyway.
over to this fancy old webpage and you'll find 2 open-ended levels of support starting at $1.50 a month to support content producers like us, actually just us, with things like hosting costs and beer. Head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage.
I actually became a patron of somebody else for the very first time.
Who?
Ryan Laley. He does.
Who is that?
He does Unreal Engine tutorials,
That's
and
kinda
he's
neat.
very, very good at it.
Well, that
And
sounds like it's Ultimate Challenge related, so that's
it was
good.
a dollar. It is actually. It was $1 a month, and I'm like, I spend at least 4 hours every weeknight watching his tutorials.
So what you're
yeah,
saying is I need to reduce our base level to $1.
I think so.
I will put that on my
Cause,
notes.
yeah, because that's the thing is I did $1, and like, that's it. I just wanted to support him, like, because I was like, you know what? I spend a lot of time with this person. I may have a base level. He's a base level dollar. I'm like, yeah, $12 a year. That's. I feel good about that. I can swing that. That will not impact my life in any way.
Okay. I put it in my calendar for this coming Monday.
To make it $1.
I will
Perfect.
make the level that people are starting at, which means if you are a $1.50 patron, you can update it to go to $1 if you'd like.
Yes, or just keep me as $1.50.
That would be preferred.
Yes.
Anyway, hopping on to beer, it's just trash. I'm drinking a Silver Bullet.
Drinking McDonald's iced coffee.
How is it?
It's
They're-
fine.
I've actually heard their coffee's
They're
alright.
Yeah.
pretty good.
It's like... Go ahead. You can't get any
This
dairy
is new.
free. You can't get it dairy free, so I will be regretting it later, but it's 99 cents, so...
I won't be home, so it won't be
That-
no problem.
Don't worry, Lucifer will help you.
Yeah, he likes the
Thanks, buddy.
rugs in the bathroom.
I knew he was a fan of the bathroom already,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
He
he's
loves
a
it.
good boy.
Um,
Mr. Lucy.
I
Thank you for
was
getting his
going to
photos.
get some not shit beer for you, and then we ended up sitting in every single drive-through trying to get her coffee.
It's alright.
We went to every drive-through coffee place between my house and here. I went to 5 of them, and all of them had ridiculous lines until we ended up at McDonald's.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I do get the Egg McMuffin meal with just the regular black coffee sometimes, and it's totally fine.
Some people prefer McDonald's coffee. I wouldn't go that far.
I actually like Burger King's coffee quite a bit.
Yeah,
I think
Burger
if I'm
King's
gonna get a
coffee's
$1
not bad.
coffee, McDonald's does a pretty good job. Like the $1 price point's a good place for McDonald's.
I'm just not offended by any of that. Like, there's bad coffee. Like, somebody's got a Mr. Coffee and Folgers. I'm not drinking that shit.
Nope.
But McDonald's is, and it
They're
has
fine.
to be, just fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's better than gas station coffee.
It is, And I've had really hit or miss luck with that. If you get one that's
Yeah.
got the fancy like push button machine, usually it's grinding it and trying to hit a temperature range, so it's okay. But then if you start mixing it up with additives, you don't know how long those have been sitting there and what temperature. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm a
it's-
black coffee guy. But
Me too. Anyway,
let's get into the first topic, which is Volkswagen.
of course.
Do you remember,
Volkswagen.
let me paint a picture for you, roughly 14 years ago when the 2.0 TSI engine came out and Audi Volkswagen Group fitted the incorrect size pistons to these
Yes.
engines, where
They-
the oil consumption was a massive issue, and they said that there was no problem and then quietly started fixing all of them. Well, good news, they have a new TSI coming now, which is a ground-up engine, when they themselves have made claims in the next 5 years, 70% of the vehicles they sell will
Yeah.
be electric.
You went there.
Interesting.
This makes sense because they're totally selling this for the United States and for like second world countries, and like this will be like your attainable like gasser engine. It'll
I
be
think-
the last gasser.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like this in bless you. This in various states of tune will be like the last bless you
Oh, excuse me.
gas powered engine that they make. But I want to know the whole like I read the article on this, which is rare for me, and it sounds like the upshot of this engine versus the one it's replacing, which is the 1.4 twin charged engine and
Yeah.
the earlier 1.5 TSI.
Yeah.
As this one goes to a headifold and they move the cat like 3 inches closer to the actual exhaust valves, which lets them use cheaper materials. But I still want to know, when somebody cuts the cat off of this, which will happen, how is that going to sound when it's running on 2 cylinders? Because in addition to being
Badly.
a turbocharged 4-cylinder, this has displacement on demand or whatever. So
God.
most of the time, this just runs on 2 cylinders and 750cc. It's going to sound truly terrible.
This is always going to sound terrible
So
forever
let's-
for any reason.
Speculate right now. What is the first catastrophic, widespread mechanical issue that this engine will have?
DOD.
Yep. I don't know how they're
Carbon
doing it.
buildup.
There's gonna,
Carbon buildup. It's going to fuck up the whole DOD system.
you know, it's
'Cause,
gonna
you know,
shut off the valves, right?
It's
Yeah.
gonna, it's gonna
so-
have a plastic gear.
Yep.
And it's not going to be able to deal with the carbon. There'll be some carbon buildup on the valve.
Yep.
And it'll strip the gear.
And it will be stuck in 2-cylinder mode. So
Yep.
you'll have a 750cc turbocharged.
But don't worry, it will still boost like it's a 4-cylinder.
Oh yeah.
So you'll have just 2 dead cylinders.
Oh yeah.
with a shitload of
Melt
boost.
the rings. It'll
Yeah.
foul the cat. Yep. Which
I-
is stolen.
I did want to say with the piston ring issue on the early TSIs, the
Yeah.
FSI engine.
Just the TSI.
Well, FSIs had this problem too, actually.
I was only aware of the balance shaft and
Oh,
direct
FSIs
ejector
have
issues.
other issues, but like,
Well, I know they have other ones.
Usually, the cam eating the head alive will
Yeah.
happen before you run into the piston ring issue, but the piston ring issue does exist,
Interesting.
and you can actually get an engine oil flush, and that fixes the problem, and it keeps you from having to go to Volkswagen because a lot of them Volkswagen won't even service anymore, and those have you pay full boat. So
Nice.
we found out that you could just do, like you do like, I think it's like you have to do like 2 or 3 of them, but if you do like 2 or 3 like back-to-back engine flushes, like you just spend like a ton of money doing like you spend like $500 doing oil changes basically in like one day.
It's got to be more
But you
carbon
don't use
issues
the
then, right?
hose,
But-
Just stick a
right?
ring.
You don't use the hose.
No, you don't use a hose to flush it with water.
No, it's only for Siennas.
Yeah.
But no, you when you do the engine flushes, it actually that does free them up and it makes them work. And then like after that, it's kind of like a whole process. So basically, you do like 2 or 3 flushes like at once, like in one day. Like you do flush, oil change, and then you have them drive for like a half of an oil change interval. So
Okay.
like 10,000 miles.
Oh God, no!
I'm kidding. No.
Jesus,
Well,
no.
no, you haven't drive like I usually would say come back after a tank of gas, give me a call, I'll put you on the schedule, make it work.
Okay,
And you
You
do
don't
you
go
do an
camping?
additional one, and that usually takes care of it.
gotcha.
And it goes from being like a quart every 1,000 miles to like maybe a half a quart every oil change.
So on the FSIs, is it just a sticking ring from like carbon from the DI
And
stuff?
it's the same thing with the TSIs as well.
Well, the TSIs actually had too small of pistons in them too. So in addition to that,
Yes, but
those only like for like a year and a half. But
the piston rings were a consistent issue on them, and that was actually it made the
sure,
same.
made a significant
It
improvement.
would also, since it doesn't have a ring that's correctly like balancing everything,
Yeah.
it would also cause piston slap as well. So you have all these weird issues, and it's all from that weird piston ring.
Gotta love Audi Volkswagen Group 4-cylinder engines after the 1.8T.
And I love how like
Yep.
they figured this out, and they're like, yeah, they tell this to other customers. Yet most of them would go, I'm gonna go on a cross-country camping trip.
Yeah. Oh,
and
it's just
then
like the
blow
people
up
with the
engine,
2.5 liter vans.
and then
Yeah.
be like,
Mhm.
oh,
We told you so.
Yeah, sorry you're broken down the Black Hills.
Right. I'm like, hey, it won't start because the cat's plugged because it's burning so much oil. Like, yeah, you didn't do our recommendation.
No, it's like it's not even that. It's like, hey, we just put in a brand new engine for you. What we need you to do is don't drive it on the highway. Drive it in the city normally.
Yeah.
In the city for 500 miles and bring it back so we can do an oil change. And then they just don't do that, and they immediately go on a road trip with it.
Great.
And then they give us a call 5,000 miles later. Why is my engine knocking?
and now they're selling it.
I'm going to fax you a copy of the agreement you signed when we
Yeah.
did this engine for you.
Sorry, lady.
You are up a boat.
So speaking of brands blowing up engines,
Mhm.
Volkswagen's really good at this, but
They are.
I can't let anybody off about this because Toyota. This is actually more of a Subaru problem because Toyota did not design this engine.
Right. This is an
But,
FB20, right?
yes,
Or
this is-
24?
This is
24.
the new engine, yeah. On the new FRS BRZs,
Mhm.
or I guess 86 BRZ,
GTBZ 86Z
Yeah, that one.
RS.
they apparently have an engine where their engines blow up. And so this guy was drifting, had like a video or a photo of his car being drifted.
Mm-hmm.
Engine blew up. Toyota denied the warranty at first. And then he's like, doesn't matter what I was doing. This blew up because there was a chunk of RTV that was blocking the oil galley that goes to the crankshaft.
Great.
It had seized, like, just the whole engine seized up
Well,
because of a chunk of
that's
RTV.
a pretty important bearing.
And yeah, so after this guy like went public with everything and made a big loud stink publicly, now Toyota is finally saying, okay, even if you do take your car out on a track day, if it blows up and it's something that was our manufacturing fault, now we're gonna take care of it. But like
Modern engines don't really have much for gaskets anymore. Almost everything
it's
is just
all RTV.
RTV.
Yeah. And so Toyota made like a huge stink about it. But they
Come
did-
on, Toyota,
they
we like
did-
you, don't
yeah,
do that.
but they did come around,
Well, good.
thankfully. But the thing is, what the issue was is it was one shitty employee, like at the top of dealership before it got to corporate.
Yeah.
And as soon as he made a big enough stink where, because the service manager said the engine was abused, and so he was,
There's
like,
photos
dealing-
of this car. It looks stock.
yeah,
Doesn't
but-
matter what you're doing to a car
Yeah,
if
so
it's stock.
The service manager said it was abused. And I'm like, all right, sure. Yeah, it was being used at track day. However, that's not why it blew up. Like, it
Also,
blew up because of Toyota.
It's
and
an
so,
enthusiast car.
yes. And so this is the thing. The GR Yaris, even if you take it to track days, they will always honor the warranty.
Yeah, because it's designed for that.
Exactly. It's literally what it's designed for. And so when this was brought up,
Yeah.
the dealership manager was still being a dickhead about it. So he went to corporate. Because you can just get corporate's phone number.
Because it's
not
Toyota.
that hard
Right.
to get the number. You can go Toyota corporate sales office in your house. They'll give you a phone number to call. And then
Easier than American Airlines.
yeah, it's very easy to call Toyota. And so this guy calls up Toyota. Toyota goes to the service manager, tells him to promptly fuck off, and then they take care of him. And
Well-
now he's getting his engine taken care of. And shame on this dealership for sucking. And this is just another example of the American dealership model being out of touch and not working for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that they exist is because they have a very strong lobby.
That's why very few car people actually work in car sales. Like, I don't know people that work in car sales that genuinely like cars.
No, they're all widget salesmen.
It's difficult to find somebody at any dealership that if you state like a chassis code or an engine code, even for a current product,
They
that
have
they'll
no
know
idea.
what you're talking about.
I knew two people when I
Yeah.
worked at Subaru. One was actually a rally driver, and his whole thing's he only sold STIs.
Was it Tommy Pastrami?
No, Scott Putnam.
Oh.
And then another guy came from Grimspeed, and those are the only two people. And the guy from Grimspeed is like, he's just said he made more money selling cars than he did working at Grimspeed. So
That's fair.
Yeah, that's entirely
I mean,
fair.
put in hours at a dealership, you do make money. What's up with all these people driving their? Ugh.
That's a very
That's the
annoying truck.
worst sounding 2UZ I've ever heard.
That's just a bad sounding engine. But
Anyway, so I'm glad to know that Subaru, with their constantly developing engine manufacturing rolling assembly line changes, has started over-speccing the amount of RTV in the FB24.
At least they don't leak.
Not that we know of. But
I'm sure they sweat porously through the block, like Land Rover.
loose sand casting.
Yes. Well, did I tell you the story about the Outback I sold, and we dealer traded it? It came to the dealership smoking.
No, actually, I don't think so.
Oh, this lady was a whole nightmare. She wasted a week of my time. This is like actually what made me like just give up on selling cars before I quit.
Okay.
I was working with this lady for a week, and I finally got her to like agree on a car. We found the perfect car. It was a black Outback limited 4-cylinder, like very whatever car, but she needed this exact spec with a remote start that was installed by the dealer, not by the factory, not by us.
I assume they offer remote start.
Yeah, from the dealer, but
Okay.
it's very rare to get them from the factory, and this one happened to have been spec'd with a remote start from the factory. And so she just wanted this exact car, and the car, it was at Bloomington Subaru, so they drove it from Bloomington to us. It gets our lot, and it's smoking. It's like totally overheated, like completely blown the hell up. And we go, we don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. We will get this fixed immediately, and we're going to get this car to you. Obviously, she doesn't want to sign on it that day. And so we fix it, and there was a giant plug of sand inside the crossover pipe from the left cylinder head to the right one, and caused the engine to overheat and like totally blew the head, like warped both cylinder heads. Anyway, she continued to say, instead of just telling me no, she wasn't interested, she's like, oh yes, I will come by tomorrow. For like over a week. I had to be nice about this, and so like both of my days off I had to come in because of this bitch.
Great.
Yeah, because she was too nice to just say, no, I'm not interested.
Stop Minnesotaing me.
Yeah, and then after a while, she goes, oh, I bought another car. And at which point, I'm like, I came in on both of my days off and had to work instead of having a time off because of you. And
we know how much you don't like waking up on weekends.
Yeah, no, I hung up on her after that. I didn't even say bye. I just hung up on her. I was just furious. And that's why I like gave up on selling cars. Like, she was just the end of me wanting at all to do anything with car sales. I'm like, fuck that. But yeah, there's a reason sales or car enthusiasts don't work at dealerships, because it just drains the life out of you.
Well, especially when you can't anticipate for like one-off snafus like that. And I'm not saying that was necessarily one-off. I mean, that is a fluke.
It was a one-off, but still, it's just like Subaru. Like, what the fuck? Like,
if it's not that issue, it'll be a different issue.
Subaru's just barely a functioning company.
That's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. There are a lot of things you can apply that saying to, and almost none of them are the actual marketing terms that they went with originally.
Speaking of traffic driving by, CT200H, the Lexus hatchback.
That's the Jeff
yeah.
Bezos lookalike. That's his daily.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I
Yeah.
saw it, and it was very nice.
Okay. Anyway,
He does like that vehicle.
next.
All right. Moving on to other things that don't relate at all to that topic, so I have no segue. The G99, which is just a relevant baloney chassis code, but the newest M5,
Okay.
the one with the still really unreliable engine, but the actual automatic transmission.
Well, speaking of unreliable engines, that was your segue that you missed.
Fine. I do have a story about that, but it's coming to the U.S.
That's cool.
in a wagon. Not even just the M5, which we've had for 4 years now. It's actually kind of long in the tooth. But
Yeah.
in the photo on the web page is an E61 M5. That was the last one they made. But they won't give us the M3 Touring, which it's got the grill, so who cares? But
I don't want that.
manual M3 with an aftermarket bumper. But the M5 actually still looks okay.
Yeah, all right, so 1 second. Pause. Manual M3 with aftermarket bumper. You're still buying it with the big dumb bumper, which shows them that you're willing to buy it with the big dumb bumper.
You're right. I would never
Yeah,
ever buy that
no.
car.
It's
I'd rather
not
have
worth
the
it.
automatic M5 that looks better.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm not going to buy one. The V8 is still really bad. They still have tons of turbocharger and valve guide issues.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the dealership Motorworks yesterday getting the Boss's 2021 X5M. Its initial break-in service 6,200 miles late because nobody bothered to tell me about it. And I got in there and actually talked to the one service advisor that had a pulse, and he knew engine codes, so I knew he was reputable. And I asked him if they've made any improvements since 2008 when they actually came out with the N63 and the S63. He's like, not really, no. I'm like, do they still have valve guide issues? He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay.
You don't want that.
But he did say, like, they really don't do timing chain issues anymore. That's all the 4-cylinder. I'm like, ooh, great. Anyway,
Great.
They gave me a new 840i X-Drive loaner, which was weird. It had like a Swarovski crystal shifter in it that looked like a butt plug.
Oh,
It was very
fun.
strange.
Oh my.
Yeah, I didn't want to shift it at all. I mean, you know me and automatics to begin with, and that was like, extra. I'm just like, okay. Very daintily. I will say, that car had the B58 straight six. That is an excellent engine. It is so much better than that V8. It's a great engine.
This is the thing. I've developed a disdain for BMW engines.
Yeah, but the six cylinders are good.
No, it's 6 cylinders that did this for me, actually.
Well, it's too bad they're good, though.
It's the M30. And the reason
The
why...
big six.
Big six.
The big six.
This is why I hate them. Because there's the M30 B34 and the M30 B35, and they're different engines, and it's one letter away and doesn't tell you what's different about them. I hate that. Because everything's arbitrary with these stupid names. Because is it a 3-liter? No, it's not.
Nope.
Nope, it's not 3-liter. What does B mean? I don't know.
It's like the B50 and the V8s.
And what's with the 34 or the 35? Is it a 3.4-liter or 3.5-liter cylinder head or something?
Have you noticed how on the intake it shows 3.4-3.5
Yeah.
in the casting?
Mhm.
Like, that's how non-committal you were, BMW.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is why I hate this. I'm going to go through 2 different companies that have alphanumerical engine designations and why I like them.
Okay.
So the first one that gets best points is Honda.
Okay.
Because you know exactly what... Let's say an L15A. Do you know what that is?
It's a 4-cylinder inline 1.5-liter engine. I don't know what the A means, but it is a head designation.
It's the original. It's the original designation of what that engine would be. So
Okay.
when Honda puts an A at the end of it, that means it's the first production version. So L15 is L series 1.5-liter A. So it's the original 1.5. So then you put the L15B would be the engine that's a dual Fred cam version.
Oh, I didn't know the first ones were single overhead.
Yes, that's what was in the Fit. And they're interchangeable.
The
Because
heads are? I guess the whole engine probably
Yeah,
is.
you
but-
just put in different timing chain, just different guides. And
Alright.
just, no. But anyway,
Thanks, Honda.
B20B, second generation B20.
2-liter, the CRV engine.
Exactly. B20A is the original version that was in the Prelude. It's completely different. But B18C.
Yeah.
So you know that
That's a
B18A,
GSR engine,
yeah,
isn't it?
B18A and B18B were non-VTEC. C is VTEC
Okay.
because that's
So-
the third generation head.
I have a question.
It
So,
makes sense.
K20A, and then they go to Z. Why that?
Because the Z
Or I guess they did
is
C's as well.
they did do other ones, but the Z's I believe is when they went to
That's a catapult.
the catapult. Yeah, that's when they had the manifold in the head. It's just put it at the very end 'cause it's
Okay.
completely different.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So you can't possibly mix it up.
Toyota's also
Brilliant.
really good.
Brilliant, and that was to be my second example was Toyota, because Toyota you have the JZ factory or family where you have this is a JZ inline 6, cool. 1 JZ, all right, that's gonna be the original. 2 JZ, that's the second one,
Mhm.
and then at the end you have like 2 JZ GTE,
Mhm.
which means turbocharged, fuel injected. I think G is dual vert cam.
One of those means Yamaha.
Yeah, would that be?
I think
That'd be
G.
the G. Yeah, G's Yamaha head. But every single thing in the Toyota name makes sense, and there's a reason for it.
Every letter means something.
Yes.
And you can cross-reference. It's like a VIN.
Yeah, BMW is just alphanumerical nonsense.
Mercedes is worse than BMW.
Yes, and they're terrible too, and that's why I hate writing them at work.
What is this M119 6.3? Well, it's a 6.2.
Yeah, well, the only thing that makes sense on Mercedes is at least
Or 156, I mean.
with Mercedes they'll always give you an O to tell you if it's diesel.
True. Yeah, OM versus M. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll give you that, but like,
But like, you remember the turn of the naughties when they were dealing with like the 600s that were 5.8s?
yeah,
Just like, what is your?
they still do that.
What's your deal? Oh, it's getting worse now with forced induction. Yeah.
No, even with the with their displacements that they say are just different.
Yeah.
Because they'll so if you look at a VIN decoder
Yeah.
for a like 6.3 V8,
Yeah.
they'll say it's a 6.2 because it is a 6.2. 'Cause
Right.
if you Google what the actual displacement is,
Mm-hmm.
it's
6208.
yeah, it's 6.2. Like just it's like 1 cc over
Per cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
per like 6.2. So it's effectively a 6.2. And so Germany classifies as 6.2, but its market is a 6.3 in the United States.
I remember the X165, the GL450, which is a 4.7 liter V8.
Yeah.
Just like I can't even keep it. We had one for like 5 years, and I have no idea what the displacement of that engine was. Because it's just like it's almost impossible information to find.
And another brand that gets put on my shit list for bad naming conventions is also GM. 'Cause
Yeah, you're right.
the LT1 they've brought back
Well, not
twice.
only that, just
The LS has been 3 different engines.
the LS, even in vanilla form, which makes some sense, kinda. But most LS engines are LM, LQ, LZ.
But the term LS originally came out
Oh, it
in
was
the
a big
50s.
block, wasn't
No,
it?
it came out in the 50s.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a big block.
Nope, they had a 50s
Oh
LS.
my god.
Yeah.
I don't
Also-
recycle engine names.
Also, the small block Chevy, the modern small block Chevy, is
Yeah.
actually, I believe, a small block Oldsmobile originally.
Really?
Like, I think the 3.5 was the original, was the Oldsmobile cylinder head or something. Or the 305, I think that was Oldsmobile cylinder head. But, like, it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Huh. I mean, I trust you on that one. I know very little about them other than the first gen small block having no accessory mounting holes.
Yeah, they're dumb. There's just, everything's dumb. Like,
So
I appreciate their engines, like the not small block Chevy. I appreciate a lot as an engine, but I will never ever give them credit for naming. Like also the nailhead was never used in their terminology. It was called. Oh, Buick's really bad about this.
so is
do you-
Volkswagen.
Do you know what a Wildcat 445 is? What displacement's that?
Oh god, if it's not 445 cubic inches, which
Nope.
I know it isn't from
It's
your
not
setup.
because that's the pound-feet of torque.
Oh my god.
That's a 401 cubic inch nailhead, also previously called the Fireball.
Wow.
But don't worry, the Fireball was also briefly used as the terminology for their inline 8.
Oh my god.
Like, just-
Well, just don't even name your engine. Like Volkswagen. Like, the engines just don't have names.
Hey,
They
hey,
kind of
hey,
do.
those engine names are freaking cool because they have the blue flame and the
Well,
Fireball.
I'm not saying they're not cool names. I'm
The
saying that they are
Wildcat is
confusing.
objectively a cool name, but they're terrible.
Honestly, I think that's probably... Like, Ford does a way better job than GM in that sense, because they haven't
yeah.
recycled names.
Yeah, no, at least Ford doesn't recycle names. GM does all the time.
That's... Yeah.
They'll even give the same thing different names between brands.
I was trying to find some random factoid that I had known about but forgotten on the LT5.
Yeah.
And when you and I say LT5, we know what engine we're talking
Yes, it's
about.
the dual rig-
C4 ZR1.
Yeah.
I Googled it. Nothing on the first 2 pages referenced the C4. It was all the new godforsaken C8 engine. I'm like, you...
Yeah,
Stop
just
it.
The exact same naming designation.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's like BMW's next 330, 340, whatever, had an M30 B30 in it. I'd be like, you just
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah, it's nonsense. It's absolutely just made up nonsense. But yeah, one more thing making fun of GM about this stupid
That's
crap.
fine. We can keep going on this all
Pontiac
day.
had the tri-power, the triple 2-barrel carburetor setup. Cadillac had the same thing
Okay.
a few years earlier. And
What did they call it?
And Pontiac, to be fair, it was the exact same design as Pontiac
Okay.
because it was developed like in conjunction with Pontiac's tri-power.
Okay.
And for Cadillac, they called it the triple dual barrel carburetor. The triple dual.
That's a worse name.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing as a tri-power, though.
Triple dual.
Triple
Great.
dual
Talk
barrel.
about things that roll off the tongue poorly.
It's so bad. I'm like, I had to like look up like old 1950s Cadillac marketing information to make sure that like the wool was being pulled over my eyes. And nope, they literally wrote all of that. It took up one whole line in every ad.
Please tell me it was cast into the intake manifold somehow
No,
too.
it wasn't. That would make it too easy.
Triple dual powered by Cadillac in conjunction by Oldsmobile.
So bad. I hate it. But anyway, let's move on to the things that are good.
Sounds good.
There's a new. Actually, BAT has a bunch of new model pages because they add them like every other week now.
Oh, what is a model page?
You know, like when you click on a thing, it says here's like the E30 M3 model
Oh,
page.
so
Yeah,
you can track like values on a
exactly.
specific car. Okay.
They added one for my favorite Lamborghini, the Jarama, and
Oh my god.
I'm looking at prices of
Oop,
Jaramas.
There's one.
Yeah, they don't show the ones that went
Oh,
iron
okay.
in,
All
because we've only had a couple. But like that's also a substantial number of
Oh, there's
Jaramas
actually-
that have been sold.
There are 2.
That's a substantial number of Jaramas that have been marketed, like in recent years.
Bid 2, bid 2,
However-
bid 2 sold.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm looking at the bid 2 ones, and those are like that's honestly a solid price for those. And I think like 80 grand is about where a driver quality Jarama is worth. Like that. That's like totally a 80 grand car.
That's a great color, but oh my.
I
that
actually
is
love that vehicle.
70s AF. Just a trapezoid on wheels.
It is a 12-cylinder rear-wheel drive manual only hot hatch. That's cool.
That's cool. I didn't know it was a 12-cylinder. That's cool.
Yeah. They're freaking cool.
So this succeeded the 3500 GT?
They were offered, like, this was their GT car when the Countach came out originally.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's got the Nikon ducts. I see the styling.
Yeah. So this is the thing. 80 grand.
Ooh, it's an S. Nice.
Would you take a driver quality Jarama that's like developing more excitement around it that's going to be appreciating, or would you take an E30 at like top value?
Well, it would be an M3 at that point.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And we're talking
E30
a
M3.
really nice one. So
Yeah. I think I would take this over E30 M3 for 80 grand.
I don't like 70s cars, so I'm biased. I have an M3, so
Yeah,
you shouldn't
no,
even ask me.
you do have an M3, but this is my thing: is you didn't buy your M3 at $80,000. I think at $80,000, which one of these would you rather own?
I wouldn't buy either of these. This has an auto, 3-speed automatic.
Most of them were manual.
I
That's
thought you
weird.
said it was manual only.
I thought they were until I saw this one.
Well, that's lame. Let me see if we can find a manual one. I wouldn't like poo-poo anyone getting this, but I think if I was gonna get a like a non-mainstream older Lamborghini,
The red one was manual.
I would get a Urac.
Uraco?
Yeah, the V8 one, the
Yeah.
3-liter V8 or whatever, the red one.
I would want this because you have the 12-cylinder sound. Because it sounds like a Countach.
The V12 is actually a good engine. The V8 was shit.
Yeah.
But I like the styling of the Uraco more. Yeah, you're right. This one's a stick, so that's
Yeah,
good.
I think I would take this over that because I like the idea of it being effectively, on paper, a reasonable vehicle. It's a 5-seater hatchback.
I would
like-
rather have a Pantera.
I don't want a Pantera because then Pantera's gonna. First off, you have to deal with Pantera owners, which are effectively just like a bunch of Guy Fieri.
Teslas.
No, it's like a bunch of Guy Fieri lookalikes.
Oh, just like Pontiacs.
Yeah, like Pontiac owners. It's the same person.
Spicy Pontiac.
I would take this because you have like, it's just like it's such a weird '70s like hatchback thing. Like it's a very of its era thing.
The
But
headlight
like,
lids are super cool. I will give you that.
and we step in the gas. It still does Countach stuff. It's like you get most of a Countach out of this for like a quarter of the price.
Did these catch on fire as much as the early Countaches and Miras?
Only when they're upside down, I'd imagine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, those had like the issue with all those like the 6 carburetors or whatever.
Yeah.
If you really got on the accelerator pumps, it'd actually pump out the trumpets onto the exhaust manifolds.
Oh, that's a problem. Maybe.
Well, I'd be curious. But I guess okay. So maybe one of these and a fire suppression system would be
Yes.
wise.
That'd be a good idea.
I don't know. I don't hate this at all, but if I was spending 80 grand of my
think
own money,
for 80 grand, if somebody's like, you could buy an E30 M3 or you
man.
could buy this for 80 grand, I might get this for 80 grand. Because if I'm spending 80 grand on something, it's going to have a 12-cylinder.
it's way more interesting than an E30 M3.
Yeah.
But I'd still take the E30 M3.
Another thing about the E30 M3, in addition to having a 4-cylinder at that price, I'm not going to feel bad taking this to Trader Joe's.
I wouldn't. I mean, that's the main reason I picked the M3. Is it? I'm not saying this is unreliable. I'm not trying to insinuate that at all. But the M3, there are a lot of E30 M3s that have 250, 300,000
But
miles
this
on
is
them,
the
and
thing.
they're practical.
I'd be concerned about somebody hitting it and ruining the value. Because at 80 grand, your peak of E30 M3.
Yeah.
And that's like at a point where it's like, ooh, do you want to use that?
Well, you got one of two ways. You can have like a
Whereas-
really nice one with miles, or you can have one with no miles.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, or you could get a totally driver quality, because this manual one is 140 for a very, like a 10 out of 10 one. Like this is
And
the equivalent.
this one's
to-
a stick too, but it was only bid to 80, so I don't know
Yeah.
what that would have actually transacted
But
for.
like for the red one that was on BAT.
oh yeah, I would never buy a 100,000+ mile unless
'Cause-
it was a Sport Evo.
Well, yeah, and so the thing is, like, this would be the $140,000 Jarama would be the equivalent to an $80,000 E30 M3 in
Yeah.
terms of quality of vehicle.
Sure.
Where you're getting like a very, very, very good one.
Yeah. But if we're doing dollars to dollars, we have to.
Yeah, but I'm saying dollars to dollars. I think I might get a car that I'm more comfortable using with a Jarama. I think, like, they're both good cars, and that's why I wanted to pose this question, because
Yeah.
it is a very difficult question, because you're getting a undrivable but very good E30, or you're getting a totally drivable But more niche, Jarama. And I'm full boat on Jarama because it's also, of course, my favorite not Countach Lamborghini.
I just feel like if
so weird.
if I had both of these cars and they both sat over a winter, I go out in the spring, disconnect my battery maintainer, and I turn the key. I know the Motronic 1.0 system will start in the E30 M3.
Oh, it will
and
absolutely.
I don't know how the 6 carburetors will have handled over the winter on that Jarama, and I have to know a guy that knows how to sync whatever brand of carburetors are on that thing. It's just like the
I'm pretty sure it's
Murcielago.
Weber's.
It's a great car, but I go out to it with a different mindset, and that's not the car's fault. It's my fault.
These are Weber's. Weber DC.
So you could probably find somebody. Okay, yeah, that's a standard
Or
carb.
DCOE 40s, yeah. So it's a pretty common
Just
carb.
a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the fact it's a hatchback, it's manual, and it's V12. And the Bizzarini V12 is fantastic.
It's a really good engine.
It's a very good engine.
In most of you do bring a good point about the unreliability of being Italian.
And I'm not even necessarily
However-
calling it unreliable.
Oh, I am. Because I live in real life.
I'm going to call it needy.
It's unreliable. It's Italian.
Well,
But I will say that the noise the engine makes when it works makes it worth it, because this is not going to be my daily.
oh yeah, the E30 M3's standard engine sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
For $80,000, I want something that sounds good. Sorry. Like,
I would just buy like a nice version of my car.
yeah, exactly. and
Like-
save yourself 20 grand.
Like this has already got an S54 in it, and it doesn't have a crash history.
The correct answer is a S54 swapped E30 M3.
But that's not on the
That's
table
not
here.
on the table here. It's either a bad 4-cylinder or a questionably reliable V12. I make a questionably reliable V12.
Oh, there's
when
the
it
engine
works,
bay
I'm
photo.
not going to be upset.
This is definitely gonna have the same issue as the
Yes.
Mira,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the air cleaners are over the exhaust
yes,
manifolds.
they are. However, to be entirely honest, I'll probably start up use here
It's probably fine if you run non-oxy in it.
because you're heating up the air that goes into the carb.
Yeah, but you don't drive a car like this in inclement weather.
No, what I'm saying is that you're not going to deal with any weird choke problems.
True.
So it'll probably just start.
True.
Just like the Buick does in like hot days. Like just you first crank
There is something very satisfying about just like you touch a key.
and it just starts. Yeah, it's amazing.
Other Ryan's 454 manual dually pickup when he had it for like 3 months, that had a thermoquad on it. And
Yeah.
it was just like the truck wasn't used that often, but you just bump the key and
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
would
it
just
works every time.
it would just be like 500 RPM, no problem.
Man, Bummy got rid of that.
Me too. He has no manual vehicle right now.
That's
I'm
understandable if you're into old
upset
American
about
cars.
that.
That's such a cool truck.
I
'cause-
know. Like it's a slammed square body dually pickup with a stick.
Yeah, I would have kept that. I would not have gotten rid of that.
Well, another thing you should never have gotten rid of was, from Acura's perspective, the old Integra Type R.
Yes.
Because the new Integra, although slightly, and I do mean slightly faster from 0 to quarter mile, was that what?
I heard noises.
Oh, I don't know why. It is significantly worse. And I do mean that in the most pure form of the way I can possibly say it, because the Elantra N,
Yeah.
which is a Hyundai,
Yeah.
which you can go to a dealership and buy,
Yeah.
and costs like high 20s, absolutely destroys both of them. So why would you have a new Integra? I mean, like, I hate to drag the old GSR, or it's actually ITR, not even a GSR, into this, but Haggerty, with the Jason Camisa piece, they brought an old ITR, and I don't know the body shape. You would be able to tell me that.
DC2.
DC2 Integra Type R out to like Willow Springs. They set them both up, and the thing is, the new Integra doesn't use the K20C.
Okay.
It uses the L15, which is a great engine, but the thing is, since it's a really big, heavy, not Integra car that it's in, they have a super short final drive ratio and a close ratio 6-speed transmission.
Yeah, to make it
So
feel
it's
better. Yeah.
set up to just eke out that number, but in real world terms, you're shifting more often than you have to, which can be fun, but in the case of this, it's just tragic. And the fact that they didn't put the K20C in this thing and just detune it down from like the Civic Type R is absurd to me, because they knew that they weren't benchmarking their own old car. They weren't actually doing that,
No,
even
they
though I'm
weren't.
sure that's how they sold it to the committee.
Yeah.
They have to look at things like the GLI and the Elantra N, which I mean, I think the GLI actually lost. I watched this, but it was like 2 weeks ago I put this in there. But like, seriously, you're talking like a tenth of a second between the old ITR and the new Integra in the quarter.
Yeah, and then like a whole second.
and it's a whole second off what the new
Yeah.
Hyundai is.
Yeah,
So I mean, what are they doing? I mean,
It's nothing. It's Acura barely being a functioning company since the recession.
and that's if this isn't proof of that pudding, I just don't even know what is, because it's just like the most tone deaf response to a question that nobody asked.
I genuinely don't know, like, what Acura board meetings are like.
It would be
It does not. I cannot imagine.
terrifying to sit in on one.
I cannot imagine being in that board meeting and hearing people that live in real life
Well-
make decisions like this.
Do they live in real life?
Apparently not.
I don't think so. Because I
Because-
mean, you talk a board of a company like,
Like,
I assume Honda, Acura are the same
Credit
board.
where it's
but
due to Toyota, when they were at the peak of their boring, like the most boring time to be into Toyota is like 2013. No, 2014. No,
I was going to
13.
say like 2008.
13. No, because that's when Scion was at peak suck, and Lexus was at peak suck, and Akio Toyota had just that's right before he had taken the helm of Toyota. So like that was peak suck for Toyota.
Okay.
It's like after the recession, people still aren't out of dealing with the recession. Like 2012 sucked.
Okay.
So yeah, I think like 2012 Toyota is like the worst time to be a Toyota. They were still grounded in reality though.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they made cars that sucked, but you what moved were cars that sucked.
Appliances?
Like everybody was still buying Highlanders and RAV4s. Like the reason Toyota sucked in 2012
It's because people weren't taking
is
risks.
because people weren't taking risks. Toyota wasn't taking risks, and Toyota was just making boring shit because that's what people wanted. And it
Right.
wasn't until the Corolla started to take second place to other vehicles that Toyota like really like kicked their ass into gear and
Right.
like, found a way to sell Corollas.
Which
Acura,
they did.
though, Acura, nobody's buying Acuras.
No, they didn't in 2012, and they're still not now.
Nobody's like
What year did they come out with like the can opener corporate front?
2006.
Okay.
No.
Maybe 08 would have
Four.
been, I guess. Oh, really?
Yeah,
No.
it's been a long time.
It wasn't that gen TL. I'm thinking of like the second gen modern TL.
Nope, it was the first generation TL. It was the facelift on it.
Okay.
It was right after Forza 1 came out.
Oh God.
So-
I'm glad you think of periods of time the same way I do. It's like, well, let's see. This computer had just come out. It's
Yep.
2004.
Yeah, I think of presidential administrations and what Forza or GTA game I'm on.
Oh my
But,
God.
Yeah, so this is the thing is like Acura at no point they aren't selling enough cars to justify making shit.
No.
Like why are they like that's what I'm saying, like there's literally nobody at Acura that lives in real life.
I think you're right.
Because if you lived in real life,
Because
you would look at your sales numbers and look at how people are reacting
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh shit."
We need to fix our mainstream product.
And like they're not though. And
I know.
it's like it's just totally fucking bananas to me cuz like even like BMW, like, for all the shit that we give BMW,
Which we do.
BMW, they move shit. Like Lamborghini, they move Uruses, even though those are
Oh,
fucking horrible.
man.
Like Volkswagen moves trash. Like everybody moves trash except for Acura. Acura makes trash that does not get moved. Like Acura,
And their solution is to make a niche product, which the Integra is, try to lukewarm market it towards enthusiasts with a manual, and no enthusiast wants it because they see through the bullshit.
yeah, no, I don't get it. Like, I honestly think I genuinely think that the people that work at Acura right now previously worked at Cadillac.
Oh.
Like
oh
that's the only
my.
way it makes sense to me.
You're talking like late 2000s or late 90s Cadillac?
No, like modern today Cadillac.
Oh, okay.
Like
I don't know which
2000,
one's worse.
2015 Cadillac. Like
Yeah.
after the CTS-V was any good, when they started moving to like doing crossover crap.
Oh, when they put all the car names on the SUVs?
yeah. that
Okay.
one. Like that, like late teens Cadillac. I feel like those people moved over to Acura. Like, we're gonna make things better. And how are you gonna make things better? We're gonna make a bad Integra.
So all the good things that happened to Hyundai Kia with their
Yeah.
poaching, the opposite
Yes,
bad
I
happened
think
to Honda
that's
Acura?
happening.
Okay.
Because like I'm not even that mad about the fact that like okay they ruined the Integra name, whatever. Like that's not what I'm mad about. Like I'm just upset that like they are so not in real life
Yeah.
that like they can't even move their trash.
Their heads in the sand.
Like they literally just have GM people living there
Oh, no.
and just
That's Mary Barr.
yeah, like these are
Working
just
there.
like yeah, I don't get like where your marketing department is like getting their sales figures. Like how do these people have jobs? Because like the thing is I take my job very seriously what I do, and I do nothing that's marketing related, but like My thing is, like, when you do such a shit job, like, clearly you're not taking your job seriously.
Right.
How are you able to make more money than me? By just being a complete fucking buffoon.
I think just being in the right place at the right time or not stepping down when you do a terrible job. It's got to be something like that.
Yeah, and, like, there's just nobody that's there that's telling people to step down when they do
There's
a bad
no accountability, so of course not.
And, like, do they have, like, some sort of wacky union, like some totally OP union that, like, does not allow people to get fired? Like,
There's probably political people are probably in each other's pockets and they can't.
Like, I just don't.
There's no other
I don't get it.
reasonable
like, it's
explanation.
Just totally bananas to me.
Yuck. Well,
and-
either way, it sucks. And I know we've really hammered on Acura, especially this calendar year, but they deserve it.
Yeah, no, Acura is totally fucking screwing the pooch here. Like, they're just absolute trash.
I mean, think of when the L series engine came out. Think of when the K series engine came out. That's like that. They still use that.
That 20 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The K has now been around for 21 years.
The L series came out in 2003. It was the first time they put it into production vehicles, and the Honda Fit in 2003.
So that's also a 20-year-old
Yeah,
engine.
this is 20-year-old technology.
They're both phenomenal things, but they're the only two good things left about Honda
They never
Acura.
recovered from the recession. Like, that was it. It was like after the recession, they just gave up.
Maybe the new recession that we're going to go into will fix them.
Hopefully. I have no faith in that. But anyway, so yeah, the new Integra, I guess, is technically faster and better. Or is technically better
A
than
quarter
the old,
mile is the only thing it's faster at.
but it's not more good. That's
No.
what I'm getting at.
Correct.
So, in a similar vein here, I want to talk about a vehicle that is more good in every way.
Okay.
And I want to talk about this strange little story called the Yokogawa Special. This is an old hot rod from like the 1950s. And you're probably wondering, like, how is this more good, more special, like whatever. This is a car
I
that
was wondering what engine's in it.
no clue.
Because I see 3 exhaust pipes on the left side of it, and 2 of them are paired together and one's in front. So, like, I feel like this is a side, like a reverse flow V6 or something.
I have no idea, but it was in the 50s, so it didn't have any V6s. But,
You're right.
sorry, 1964 is when it came out.
That might have been the first gen Oddfire 3.8 Buick then.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a flathead or something, or I don't know.
could be.
But this is a thing. In 1964, in Honolulu, Hawaii, this car ran an 11.8 second quarter mile, 122 miles an hour.
Oh
which
my.
is bananas
That's
fast
really fast.
for any reason.
That's quick
especially
today,
in a car.
dude.
Yeah, but this is the thing. 1957, in like 1950s Hawaii, getting parts might as well be building it on the moon today. Because just think about, like, you don't have the
it's
internet.
Pre-commercial air travel.
Yep, pre-commercial air travel. You don't, like, readily have Hot Rod Magazine available, so you can't just call people.
Right. I
Like,
was
this
gonna
dude
say,
built this in Hawaii in the middle of nowhere and ran an 11.8.
a phone
that's-
call to California would probably cost you dollars in
Yeah.
1950s money.
That's pretty cool. That this guy ran an 11.8 in Hawaii.
I really want to know what engine's in this.
They couldn't find any information on this.
It says special Chevy.
Well, it's a Chevy body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the body's actually it's a Chevy Roadster body.
I gotcha.
But yeah, like at these, like, let's see here, a modified Roadster. Yeah, it's like this is the only like
sure
article they could find in this car, and the guy that wrote this like went through like the Library of Congress, like National Archives of every newspaper that's ever been written in the United States to try and find this
Oh,
much information
That's
that
a
we
lot
know
of
that
microfiche.
exists. Yeah, this guy did a ton of digging to find this. But yeah, I just think that that's very cool. Like, even though he didn't, like, not a lot of this was recorded, I think it's just so cool that in 1964, this, like, the Japanese expat named Diki Yokogawa just had a very cool Chevy Roadster that was silly fast in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, this would have had, at best, we're talking a 4-speed transmission, but probably a 2 or a 3-speed box.
Yeah, it's probably a 2 or 3-speed.
It looks like it's only... Oh, no, I see another exhaust runner. That looks like a small block Chevy. There's
Okay,
another
mhm.
one way in the back here. You can't see it
Oh
on the
yeah,
stream,
yeah, okay. I
unfortunately.
see
There's
it. So
another
yeah,
one.
that is a small block. then.
Yep.
So-
Okay, so that probably went on 327
I
or
mean,
something.
it could be a small block or. Let's see here. I can actually just barely see the intake manifold in this
I mean, 64.
It
so that
actually
engine
might
would have
be
been
a-
pretty mature.
Buick.
Could be.
Because it looks like, I think I'm seeing a valve cover that's pointed up on this. But yeah, either way, it doesn't matter like what
No,
engine's
but
in
at
it.
least it's a
It's
V8.
the
That makes more
fact that
sense.
it's the fact that it ran that quick in Hawaii in that early of a year.
Especially look at those 1950s pie cutters in the back. Like those didn't really hook up. Tire compound wasn't good.
No, that's why you always just did a burnout for the entire race.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you want to look at tire quality, look at how quickly Honda started going actually fast in the last 15 years.
I was gonna say not
It's
that long ago.
all just tires.
Okay. As we just discovered, I mean, the engines are the same. They haven't even made a new one in that amount of time.
Well, I mean, this thing is you've been able to make 400 horsepower in a Honda for the last 25 years easily. You just put a turbo on it, you pin the block, done. But the thing is, putting that down, and it's like, okay, cool, like this, like better like coilovers and stuff. Like, yeah, sure, you get that dialed in. There's now a formula for dialing in your coilovers.
Suspension tuning is definitely a factor.
Yeah, but the thing is, suspension tuning does not account for the fact that we've cut like 3 seconds off of like the world's fastest Honda time in the last 15 years.
I was gonna say
and that's entirely because of tire compound.
from when we started this show, I think they've cut like a second and a
Yeah.
half off
Just from tire compound.
just from that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's bless you.
Excuse me.
That's
Bless you.
insane.
So yeah, I just thought that was
But no, 11 seconds in the 50s is like 6s today.
yes. So that's the happy note I wanted to end on. I didn't want to end on
thank you.
us being upset at Acura. I want us to be very excited
Let's
for
be clear though,
cool
we
old
are
hot rod
upset.
stuff.
at
Yes.
We
Acura.
end with my sneeze.
Yes, we did. On that bombshell, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks guys. Bye.